Hello everybody, welcome back again, and today we're back, as you can tell by the day of the week, for another Top 5 Wednesday. I really enjoyed getting involved with this trend last week. I managed to talk to loads of people, interact with loads of people in my comments, and really enjoyed that aspect. It's definitely going to be something I carry on doing into the future. This week's topic is actually quite a difficult one, that from videos and things I've seen already today, a lot of people are struggling with. The topic is Top 5 Anti-Heroes. Now I think what everybody's struggling with, including myself, is that anti-heroes is quite a hard thing to define. For some people, it's a main character who doesn't possess the normal heroic qualities. For some people, it's a bad guy who serves as a good guy sometimes, and there's quite a lot of different variations on what it could mean. For me, I'm going to use the more simple definition of it's a character who hasn't got the same heroic, courage, strength, etc. as a traditional hero would. So it's people that could be the main character, they could be a supporting character, they don't have to be a bad guy, they don't have to be a good guy. It's just a character who's a focal point of a book, who sometimes plays the role of a hero without having any of their qualities. Getting right down to it, my number 5 is quite a commonly referenced anti-hero. It's Lisbeth Salander from the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. Now obviously, in the film, in the books, she is not a typical hero in the slightest. From her appearance, down to her personality, she's very vengeful, she's not particularly caring about other people, and even though throughout the course of the 3 books you end up liking her a ridiculous amount, she is not what you'd term a hero. She is very opposed to a lot of the common heroic qualities, but she's such a pivotal character in literature, and she's such an important part of those books that I think she definitely deserves a place on this list. Number 4 is a character from another series I've already mentioned on this channel. It's Murtogg from the Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Now I've mentioned in the past that I absolutely loved this series, and this is one of the more complicated definitions because obviously Murtogg, for much of the series, is just a hero. He's a very standard heroic character. However, without any spoilers, something happens as you get into the series and that all changes, and his character, I think, becomes a lot more interesting because of it. And that's the point where I really started to like Murtogg more and more and more. And I think the fact that he plays quite a big role in the book, he is revealed to actually have a much more significant role than you at first think he does. And the fact that he becomes such a more interesting character as an anti-hero than he does as a standard hero, I think means that he is one of the ones that is the first kind of thing I think of when I hear anti-hero. He's one of the more modern examples, and I think he's one of the most interesting examples of an anti-hero, especially because you get to see his development into an anti-hero, which you don't get to see with a lot of other characters. Now I have to say I think my number 3 is possibly the most referenced anti-hero ever. It's going to be Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights. Now I've mentioned before, to quite a lot of surprise, that this is one of my most beloved books, and I think part of it is the interest in the character of Heathcliff. I think right from the beginning, through the narrator's perspective, he's a fascinating character. He's very, very, very unwelcoming. He's not what you would consider a general hero. And as you get to see the backstory, and you see him develop from a more normal character into the more malicious, passionate, anti-hero character, I think it's possibly one of the first places this term would have ever been used, one of the first characters to really embody the idea of an anti-hero, and I think it would be wrong to create a list like this without putting Heathcliff on there. Now you might be able to spot a trend, because my number 2 is again one of the most commonly referenced anti-heroes. This time it's a bit different. It's Rincewind from the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. So these books have a very different purpose in the first place. They're much more tongue-in-cheek, satirical, funny novels in comparison to a lot of other books of anti-heroes. So the way in which Rincewind is an anti-hero is a lot more funny, it's a lot more humorous, it's a much different portrayal. Whereas Lisbeth and Heathcliff, they are the brooding, aggressive, passionate type of anti-hero. Rincewind is the lazy, uncaring, humorous form of anti-hero. And I think it's a kind of anti-hero that isn't explored anywhere near as much. But I think that's because Rincewind is the epitome of what it would be. And again, it would be wrong to have a list like this without putting him on here somewhere. The last one on my list is one of my favourite trilogies from when I was a child. It's the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. In this, there are actually two people I would term anti-heroes. The main character, Nathaniel, is again only a young man, but he is not heroic, I wouldn't say at all. He becomes more heroic throughout the trilogy, but to start with, he's quite peevish, quite unpleasant character, very self-involved and self-obsessed. And it's safe to say he meets his match in Bartimaeus, who is similarly... He's a little bit more like Rincewind, in fact. He's the kind of humorous, tongue-in-cheek, funny, uncaring type of character, rather than the spiteful character. So actually, this series probably combines two different types of anti-hero really well. I think it's a series that I absolutely loved, and I do want to read again at some point soon. And I do think they are two of the best examples, and possibly the first examples of anti-hero that I ever encountered in literature. So there we have it. That's my top 5 Wednesday for this week. It was quite a challenging topic. I really had to rack my brain for some of these. But once I started thinking about it and defined my definition of anti-hero, it wasn't too difficult to pick who I think are the most iconic characters. Let me know what you guys thought about who I've picked, if there's any that you guys missed or anybody that you think I should have popped in. Let me down in the comments below. As always, if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. It means the world to me. And other than that, I will be back soon with another video.